Welcome to week 9 of Structural Analysis 1 TA session taught by Professor Amit Shah. I am Jisha Chakraborty, one of the course teaching assistants. I am a PhD student at IISc Bangalore. I'll start with a brief recap of the previous 8 weeks. The first phase, consisting of the first 6 weeks, was about analysis of determinate structures. In week one, we looked at the types of internal forces, which are of four categories: bending moment, shear force, axial force, and torsional moment. Beams are now the elements are uh, there are some common classification of elements, like beam elements generally take only bending moment and shear force. Frame elements take all three except torsion, and truss elements are two force members, so they only take axial force, tension or compression. Then there are some common boundary conditions, some simple boundary conditions like roller, pin, fixed support. The concept of structural indeterminacy we briefly looked at in week one, but since week 7 and 8, the previous 2 weeks, we have looked in details into indeterminacy, because the first 6 weeks were about analysis of determinate structures, where we don't really need any additional properties. We can just solve the support reactions and the responses and everything and deflection using simple physics concepts like free body diagrams. But for indeterminate structure, we need some additional conditions and expressions, which additional rules which we have been studying, and a bending moment and shear force diagram, which is the force or stress type response for beams. And similarly, the force or stress type response for trusses is all the member forces. We write them as plus or minus. Generally, plus denotes tension and minus denotes compression, but that is up to us. We can define our own sign system. We use method of joints or sections, and we also have to ensure that the truss is stable before we start solving it. Week 3, 4, and 5 were looked at the other aspect of structural response, which is deflection or strain type responses. So first we looked at principle of virtual work and the unit load method, which determines the nodal displacement of trusses. So a truss is basically a collection of nodes which are joined by members. So if we know the x and y displacement of all the nodes, then we know the entire deflected shape of the truss, the displaced shape configuration of the truss. So that is how we can find out the strain in each individual member as well. And for beam, it is approached, the deflection is approached in a different way. Just like we plot the bending moment or shear force along the length of the beam, we can also plot the deflection of the beam at every point along the length. So elastic curve equation method is a very direct method. It is also lengthy, so it actually goes directly from the governing differential equation and integrates it twice to get the expression y of as a function of x, where y is the deflection and at x, which and x varies from 0 to L. And moment area method and conjugate beam method are two shortcut direct methods, which have some theorems and rules, using which we can find relationships between the deflection and slope in a beam directly. But they generally give us the data about only information about only one or two points, which we have to choose. For that, we need practice. Unlike the elastic curve equation method, which gives the entire deflected profile in one go. But again, this is a lengthy method. The momentary and conjugate beam methods are shorter, so generally we need to know how to use them for competitive exams, like the ones which have MCQ questions and you need to solve them fast. Week 6, the topic is kind of isolated: influence line diagram, or ILD. So far, before and after, whatever we have done deals with static forces, like the forces don't move, just like dead load and live load. So dead loads and live loads in a building generally doesn't move, but dead load doesn't move. Live load does move. Live load is the furniture weight and the human weight or the vehicle weight in bridges. So influence line diagram gives us information about how the stresses or the deflections or the reaction forces will vary when a load rolls along the length of the beam, which we studied only in the context of beams. They can also be found for frames or trusses as well, but we only need beams right now. And uh, ILD is technically defined as the the variation, the along length of a particular function, which could be the reaction or a shear force or a bending moment at a particular section, as a unit load moves along the length. But in reality, there won't be only unit loads. If there is a vehicle load, there will be three, four wheels with different loads moving along. So then we use the principle of linear superposition to find out the response. So influence line diagram is like a building block, and each influence line diagram you can multiply and add the influence line diagrams with the multiply with the magnitude of force and add with combination of loads to get the response. The Mueller-Breslau principle gives influence line diagrams qualitatively. While the while we also saw how to use rules of physics to get the quantitative values, and from that we can find out the absolute maximum bending moment of shear force under point load, series of point loads, uniformly distributed load greater than or lesser than the span. And phase 2 starts, we start with analysis of indeterminate structures and review of structural review of degree of structural indeterminacy, introduction to force and displacement method, Maxwell-Betty's reciprocal theorem, method of consistent deformations, which is a force method. So far, the previous 2 weeks, we have looked at how to apply them to beams and trusses. Today, we'll look at how to apply them in frames. That's now structural indeterminacy. Structures that cannot be analyzed using statics or equations of equilibrium only are called indeterminate structures. They require other material properties to be solved. The degree of indeterminacy is number of unknown reactions minus the number of equations of equilibrium. External indeterminacy is total number of independent support reactions minus total number of available equations of static equilibrium. Internal indeterminacy is total number of internal reactions minus available equations of equilibrium, and the degree of structural indeterminacy is addition of both of these. Examples: a cantilever beam has three support reactions because it's a fixed support, so it has an X reaction, a Y reaction, and a Z moment support. And there are three equations of equilibrium that is always constant in the 2D plane. So this is a determinate structure. The degree of structural indeterminacy is 0. A propped cantilever has an additional reaction here in the roller, so it is indeterminate to degree 1, so first degree indeterminate. This is a frame, a portal frame with two fixed supports. So whether it's a beam or a frame, the number of equations of equilibrium remain the same. It's 3 in any case. The number of reactions here is 3 plus 3, 6. So total the degree of indeterminacy is 3, and here the degree of indeterminacy is 1 because there are two forces, two reactions here, 4, and 3 equations. Now, today we'll look at the formula and how to find out degree of indeterminacy for frames. So for 2D rigid frames, unless it's mentioned, always assume it's rigid. And unless there are internal hinges, all joints are also rigid. So the degree of structural indeterminacy is 3m plus re minus 3j, where m is the number of members and j is the number of joints. So why do these three come? These threes come because for every member there are three unknowns: a bending moment, a shear force, and a torsion and a axial force. And 3j because at every joint you have three independent reactions, three independent equations. One is delta fx equal to 0, one is delta fy equal to 0, one is delta mz is equal to 0, sigma mz is equal to 0. And when some joints are hybrid, like when there is an internal hinge, we have to just add this, subtract this RR is the number of members meeting at that internal hinge minus 1. And for 3D rigid frames, this 3 gets replaced by 6 because there are 6 unknowns at each, for there will be 3 translational forces and 3 rotational forces. And similarly, at every joint also we will have effectively 6 equations: sigma fx equal to 0, sigma fy equal to 0, sigma fz equal to 0, and sigma m f x, my, and mz equal to 0. And this remains the same. So the degree of static indeterminacy of rigid frame here is m is 5, j is 6, internal hinge also counts as a joint, re is 10, RE is the number of reactions. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1 for the roller. And RR is 1, that is the number of members meeting at the internal hinge minus 1. So this 2 minus 1. So you get the degree of structural indeterminacy from this formula is 6. And you can also split it into external and internal. The part of the basically RE minus 3, that is the external indeterminacy is very easy to understand. It is just forget of all that is happening inside. So RE is the number of reactions and 3 is the number of equations of equilibrium. So DSE you get easily, and DSI has a C in it, which is the number of closed loops, which is 0 here, minus RR. But it's okay, generally we are not asked external and internal. Generally this formula itself will be enough, the final formula. The for 2D frame shown here, M is 1, M is 11, J is 8, there are 8 joints, RE is 3 here, since there is one roller support and one hinge support. RR is 2 minus 1, 1, and C is 4. So the number of closed loops is 4. In this formula, the number of closed loop does not matter, but in the DDSI, the degree of internal indeterminacy, the formula is 3C minus RR. So it's 11. Degree of external indeterminacy is 0 because, see, forget everything that's happening inside. If you have a loading pattern, you can at least solve the support reactions because there are only 3 support reactions and 3 equations already available. So externally, you can solve this structure. That is why degree of external indeterminacy is 0, but internally you won't be able to solve because it's indeterminate to 11th degree. So these kind of questions won't be like, we won't be asked to solve such indeterminate structures. It is just for finding out the degree of indeterminacy. For 3D, the formula changes. M is 9, RE is 18, J is 9, and okay, the RR formula in 3D actually changes a little. It's the number of members meeting at the internal hinge minus 1 into 3. So this is 3. RR here is 3 into 2 minus 1, 3. Then we put it in the formula, you get 15. The total degree of indeterminacy in this, M is 12, RE is 12, J is 10, and RR is, see, there are 3 members meeting at this internal hinge and 3 members meeting at this internal hinge. So RR from this hinge is 2, RR from this hinge is 2. So you have to add them both and put it again in the formula. It is 14 degree indeterminate. M is here is 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the number of reactions is 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, 12. And the number of joints is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Internal hinge also counts as a joint, and the support reaction points also counts as joints. And the RR is 2 minus 1, 1. Put it in the formula, 3M plus RE minus 3J minus RR is 11. Now this is okay, this question is a little tricky because this is a support reaction you probably haven't seen before. It is, if it is a roller with 3 wheels, then what happens is it gives a translational displacement perpendicular to the body, to the surface is resting on, like a regular roller. But also if there are 3, see, if there are 2 wheels, you can visualize, if you put a you put a something, a book, on 2 pencils, and you try to rotate it, you will see that it will rotate. But if you put it on 3 pencils, you will see that it will not be able to rotate because this and this, they will effectively support, effectively it will allow the, you can move the book like this, but it won't allow you to rotate. So that's why this is a unique kind of support reaction which gives 2 support reactions, which is a vertical force and the moment, not the horizontal force. Unlike hinge support gives us 2 translational restraints and no moment restraint. So under a hinge support, the rod is free to rotate. Here, this is not free to rotate, but it is free to move like this. So after that, the question is straightforward. M is 14, J is 12, RE is 8, and C is 3. So there are 3 closed loops. So you can put it in the formula and get the degree of indeterminacy. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Because the degree of indeterminacy of frames is a question that is frequently asked in MCQ type exams. Okay, so I'll start with I'll continue with a brief summary of these methods which we have already seen. Force or compatibility or flexibility method. Redundant forces are chosen as unknowns, and additional equations are obtained by considering the geometric conditions imposed on the deformations of the structure, which are compatibility conditions. Method of considering deformation, which we are looking at and also will look at today. virtual work or unit load method, strain energy method, method of minimum potential energy, flexibility matrix method. Only the first method is generally taught in the UG courses, and stiffness or deflection, displacement or equilibrium methods. Displacements of joints are taken as unknowns, and equilibrium equations are expressed in terms of these displacements and internal loads. These equations are solved to give the actual joint displacements from which redundant forces can be calculated. So it is just the inverse approach. There are three methods: moment distribution, slope deflection, and stiffness matrix. All these methods are very important. Next 3 weeks, week 10, 11, and 12, we look at one of these methods each. And a summary of the difference between the two methods. Force method. In force method, unknowns are taken as internal member forces or reactions. In displacement method, unknowns are taken as joint displacements. In force method, to find unknowns, compatibility conditions are written, and in displacement method, to find unknowns, joint equilibrium conditions are written. So they are all just converse, like forces and displacement, compatibility and equilibrium. And the number of equations needed for force method is degree of static indeterminacy, which we are studying right now. Whatever degree of indeterminacy we have seen now is degree of static indeterminacy. And next week we'll look at what kinematic indeterminacy is. But in displacement method, the number of equations needed is equal to degree of kinematic indeterminacy. This method is force method is suitable when ds is less than dk, and displacement method is suitable when ds is greater than dk. Now we'll look at an example of how to apply analysis of indeterminate frame by method of consistent deformation. Determine the support reactions on the frame. EI is constant. We need, as we have seen before, to solve indeterminate structures, we need some additional material properties. So E is the Young's modulus. E is the Young's modulus, which is a material property. I is the moment of inertia, and A is the cross sectional area. If this is a beam or a frame element, this is the cross section. So this width into this depth is the cross sectional area, and moment of inertia is BD cubed by 12 for rectangular section. It has different formula for different shape sections, but generally these are rectangular sections. So BD cubed by 12, B is the width, D is the depth, and there is a factor called 12, and it is proportional to D cube. So that's why depth of beam heavily influences the flexural stiffness. EI is the effective flexural stiffness of a member. That is the property of the member to oppose bending, and AE is the effective axial stiffness of a member. So it is the property of a member to resist axial deformation or like elongation or compression, shortening. So anyway, we need these E. Generally, these are used in algebraic terms like EIA, but the values can also be given. You can solve the entire problem in terms of these variables, and in the end, you substitute the values into whatever expression you have got, and be sure that you are consistent with the units. It's always safe to work in the SI system. Like if you have kilonewton, convert it into newton. If you have any millimeter sort of things, convert it into meter, then it will be safe. Or you can stick to any consistent unit system. So let's see what we have here. We have a portal frame with not a portal frame, a frame with two members. There is one hinge support here, one hinge support here. So we have four support reactions. So the instruction, the frame is determinate to the first degree, and this is external indeterminacy because we have four support reactions and only three equations of equilibrium. So you can understand it is externally indeterminate. So what is the concept we have been following so far? Whatever is extra or redundant, one of those I'm going to take as I'm going to remove from the system, and I'm going to get a primary structure which is determinate, and then I'm going to bring back that force, that unknown force which we have removed, as a unit load, and see how much of that load is required to balance out the, like, to solve the compatibility condition at that point. So we will choose a horizontal reaction at support B as redundant. The pin as B is replaced by a roller, since a roller will not constrain B in the horizontal direction. So let's pretend this is a roller support. So now it's a the primary structure is determinate. So, and it also undergoes a delta B displacement here. But what do I know? I know that there is a hinge support here actually. So this delta B has to be brought down to 0. So the secondary structure will be such that I will have a frame, and I'm going to put a force here, a horizontal force here, which will somehow which will also lead to a displacement here, and this displacement has to add up to be 0. Now you will say that why did I put the force in the right direction? It does not matter. You don't have to know the direction of the force beforehand. You can assume it to be in the right or in the left direction, and you just have to interpret the sign accordingly. and this here is bx into fbb, where fbb is the displacement of this point b for a unit load applied here. So compatibility condition is delta b is plus bx fbb is equal to 0. So the terms delta b and fbb will be computed using the method of virtual work. The frame's x coordinate and internal moments are shown in the figure here, and it is important that in each case the selected coordinate x1 or x2 be same for both real and virtual loadings. Also, the positive directions of m and small m must be the same. Small m is the unit load analogy. For delta B, we require application of real loads and a virtual unit load at B. So there is 20 kilo, like you saw, this is a determinate structure. You solve the support reactions, and you have a uniformly distributed load here. So you know that there is actually the total magnitude of the UDL was 40 kilonewtons. So 20 here, 20 here, since it's symmetric. In this direction, it is symmetric. So I'm taking an x1 here and I'm taking an x2 along this length. So x1 will go from A to here and x2 will go from B to here. And the m1 is 20 x1 minus 8 x1 square by 2, and m2 here will be 0 since this force is only in the, there is no horizontal force, and the vertical force is along the length. It will not generate any moment, right? This kind of force won't generate moment, only this kind of moment will generate, if unless this force has some component in this direction, no moment will be generated. But here for this beam there is a force like this, there is a force like this, so it's going to generate some moment, which is m1. Similarly, small m1 is zero point 0.8 into x1. This is a different kind of system, okay? Since this is a horizontal force, there is a horizontal reaction here, and then there is a couple reaction here in the vertical direction, zero point 0.8 kilonewton, zero point 0.8 kilonewton, which are balancing each other out. So I have small m1 expression, small m2 expression is not 0, since there is a 1 kilonewton here. So the delta B is integral of 0 to L small m into capital M by EI dx, as we know. So then you integrate and get an expression. This is the delta B. Now I want to find the small FBB. For that we require application of unit load acting at B and a virtual unit load acting at B. It is exactly the same situation as this. So, but in this part, both the capital M and the small m is this situation. So we get m square, small m into small m. So we get another expression. So FBB. So now the final compatibility condition is delta B plus FBB into BX. BX is my unknown, right? I want to find the horizontal support reaction. So we substitute in the expressions, we get B as minus 3.47 kilonewton. What does this minus mean? I assumed the bx to be in this direction, but actually the bx will act in towards the left. Okay. Look at another example with an inclined member. So when there is an inclined member, we can just take the x1 will vary from A to C maybe, and x2 can vary from B to C in the inclined direction. So this is also an externally indeterminate structure because there are three reactions here and one reaction here. So there are four reactions. So I can either remove this roller and make this a cantilever frame, or I can remove one of the reactions from here and make it into, make this into a hinge. So by inflection, the frame is indeterminate to first degree. MA can be obtained directly by choosing. Yeah, MA can be direct. So okay, the question was find the moment at the fixed support. So then I will take the moment as a redundant. So I allow this to uh, rotate. The capacity of the frame to support a moment at A is removed, and therefore a pin is used for support. So I replace this by pin, and this remains a roller, and I make this a secondary structure. Sorry, the primary structure. And how will the secondary structure look like? It will have the same members. It will have a roller here, and it will have a pin here, but it will have an externally applied moment here. And what will be the compatibility condition? The rotation at A in the primary structure and the rotation at A in the secondary structure have to add up to give 0. So theta A plus MA alpha AA has to be 0. The terms alpha A and theta A and alpha AA will be computed using method of virtual work. The frame's x coordinate and internal moments are shown here. So we take the inclined x2, and it doesn't change anything because you just have to you just have to split the all forces into two components, one parallel to the frame, parallel to the inclined line, and one perpendicular to it. So see, whatever reaction I have here, the roller support will give reaction perpendicular to the surface it is resting on. So the reaction will be in the horizontal direction, but using just a cos theta sin theta component, you can get, this is a member, this is the reaction. So you split one component here, one component parallel perpendicular to this. That's what is being done here. The 370 pounds is split into two, and you get, this is easy. This is easy to understand. And this, once you have split them, similarly, the moment will only be due to the component which is perpendicular to the axis. For theta, we require application of real loads and a virtual unit couple at A. So m into m theta by ei, we integrate it over 0 to L, and we add the add for x1 and x2. And for alpha a, we require a unit application of a unit couple moment. So here there is a one. See, this is the moment that's been applied, and a virtual unit couple moment at A, and we multiply this m theta square basically, get this, and we substitute the results and we solve it to get a negative. We get a negative value. Again, the negative sign indicates that ma acts in the opposite direction, so that's shown in figure. So we had assumed the ma to be like this, so it will be in the opposite sense. That's all. Okay, so this concludes our force method discussion. How to apply the method of consistent deformation. For in week 7 we looked at how to apply it on beams, week 8 on trusses, and today week 9 on frames. And you have seen, you must have realized that the method is, the concept is exactly same for all three types of elements. The only difference is the context. So, are there any questions? Yes. Navin.
Yeah. Good evening, ma'am. Can you please explain the how to find the sport reaction in the continuous beam of multispan?
How to find what?
Sport reaction
Force
in
reaction.
sport reaction
What is spot reaction?
reaction given by the sports.
Okay, can you please write in the chat? Your voice is a little unclear.
Okay, okay. Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, please explain the Clapeyron theorem of three moment method, and also in different spans.
Yes.
Uh, the L1 and L2 is different, and
Okay.
then intermediate support at B or a
Yes.
C. There
Yes.
will be a simple support. So how to be it reacted and how to be slope and deflected shape will be formed. So please explain firstly Clapeyron theorem of three movement method, and then intermediate support B, how to be will be acted by A
Okay.
B C D B.
Okay.
Okay.
So Navin's question is how to find the support reactions in multi-span continuous beam. That is the same question as what you are asking, right? If there is multi-span, means there are two end support and then there is one support in the middle as well.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So
Ma'am, more than one sport.
more than one support, like
More than three sports.
even more than three. Okay. The concept won't change. Now, what kind of supports are there? So, if there are more than three supports, it is obviously an indeterminate beam, right? it's an indeterminate structure. So suppose I use method of consistent deformations like we are using so far. So you can do one thing. You have, let's say you have a beam, you have four support. Just for the same, for the sake of simplicity, we assume there is one hinge and three rollers here. Then it will be a stable structure. If all four are rollers, it won't be stable because this direction will, it will become unstable. So one is hinged, then there is a roller, then there is a roller, then there is again a roller. So there are two support reactions here, one, two, three here. So there are five support reactions, and I have three equations. So it is 2-degree indeterminate. So what I'm going to do is I have to draw a determinate primary structure first. So let me assume that this roller and this roller are my redundant forces. So I remove them. So first I draw a primary structure which has one hinge support here and one roller support here. Okay. Stop me if you're not following. Okay. Then what are, then there will be some deflected shape of the beam. But now what compatibility conditions am I going to impose?
Sorry, ma'am. I want to ask you in case of a three moment equation, na?
What is a three moment equation?
If we how to find the sport reaction with the help of three moment equations?
Okay, you mean by a specific theorem. I don't know what the three moment that thing is with. Is that the Clapeyron,
Yeah,
which Akash asked?
Clapeyron,
yeah, yeah.
Clapeyron, ma'am.
Clapeyron three moment.
Sir, study na ma'am in week number 9. In week na lecture number 4, Clapeyron theorem.
Okay. Let's see one second.
The-
So is this related to? This is not a force method. This is a moment. I think this is a displacement method, right? Clapeyron. Wait, let me see.
No ma'am, this is force method.
Is it
this
a
is a force method.
this is a force method? Okay, I am not aware of this method. Okay, I have never studied this. So if
Ma'am,
you,
sir, Shaw sir will be
Amish sir shows
given.
that.
Given that equation. That is a Mohr and Clapeyron 1860. They
Moment.
will statement Clapeyron theorem statement.
Analyze statistically determined by treating internal support moments as redundant unknowns. It relates the bending moment of three consecutive supports determines of reaction. But if it is a beam, the way I said, if it's a hinge and then there's a roller, a roller, a roller, then how can you take the moments as unknown? Because there are no moments as support reactions. So you have been given a question in the assignment regarding this.
In syllabus is there. In
Yes, but,
syllabus is
but
there.
what kind of question was it applied to? What kind of, like, give me an example configuration of the beam.
Mm, Configuration of beam. That is the 4 types of support is there, and 2 is roller, and in end are the simply supported.
Okay, so there is no moment in the support reactions and still we are using moment. Okay, I'm not sure. I have to get back to you in next class.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have no idea about this method. I don't know when it was taught. I hope it.
Uh, for continuous beam, ma'am, this theorem can give the between the sport movements. We can get the sports movement with this with the help of this theorem.
Yes, it seems so. But the problem is the question that you are mentioning. It does not have any support moment. If it is a simple, if it has hinge and roller supports anyway don't
No,
provide any support reaction, right?
no, ma'am. In between, in between supports are also have some support movement. Na?
Yes.
Oh,
Naveen
okay,
sir.
okay,
Yes.
okay, sorry,
There is
sorry.
a moment there in between.
Moment will be registered there, but there will be some moment resistance, but there will also be some rotation, right? It's not a fully fixed
No, ma'am.
moment.
First sport and last sport do not have any movement, but in
Yeah.
Yes. Knife edge will have some moment. Yes,
And mid section as a moment is there.
mid sports do
Mid
have
support.
movements.
some
Yes,
moment
yes, yes.
it will have, but some rotation also it will have, right? It's not zero rotation like fixed support.
No rotation is there, man. Only moment.
No rotation is there. Okay, okay. I'll get back to you next class about this. Do you have an assignment submission right now?
Tomorrow is the last day, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry. You can probably look up in YouTube if you get any other videos or something. Or if you want, you can send me the question on my mail. I will try to answer by tonight.
What's your mail, ma'am?
Yes, I'm writing it.
Trisha. Where is there, Trisha?
Okay. Are there any other questions? If there are no other questions, I'll end the class. You mail me the question. I'll try to answer by today. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yes.
hello.
Yes.
And ma'am, it is eligible for only two span or three span. Sir, send it that three span or three moment or a two span. The equation is different there. EI different. Two equation, two method moment as a equation different for a two span,
Yes. Yes.
and three moment that is the MA, MB, MC,
Yeah.
and
There will be
MD.
difference. So the number of equations will also vary, right?
Yes. So MA and MD is zero, and MB and MC is maybe
Yes.
calculated by
Yes.
equation.
Yes. Yes. If there are
So
two variables in between, yes.
that assumes that a simply supported beam.
Huh.
So always, ma'am, the support is always simply supported. Assume as a fixed moment is there. So assume as a simply supported or any.
uh, if no, if that depends on how the other support sections actually was. Like if it was a cantilever sort of beam, there was one fixed support and then there were one roller, then another roller, then it won't be simply supported. Then one side will be a fixed end, then it could be the primary structure could be cantilever, I think. I mean that is what my intuition is saying. I'm not sure about this exact method.
Means every time not assume that the simply supported or anyways.
No, it I don't think it should. I don't think that is possible. But I shouldn't talk without knowing the method properly. Like ordinarily in force methods, the actual original configuration matters. It's not that you always assume it to be a simply supported beam. If it was a propped cantilever, like of one fixed end and one roller support, then if you remove the roller support, then it becomes a cantilever beam. The primary determinant structure is a cantilever beam, not a simply supported beam. So it
Just
depends.
sorry, ma'am, I will interrupt it.
Yes, yes.
Just like fixed beam, there will be the assume as a simply supported, and you go on to the mu diagram, and superimpose the mu diagram over the mu diagram. That is the superimposition of principle of superposition.
Yes.
Also is mentioned in the continuous beam. Sir mentioned is there a principle
Yes.
superposition is there.
Yeah, same.
Will redundant force will be constant, and then will be the principle of superposition applied on that. Okay,
Yes.
so it is eligible for the both intermediate support B and C. So
Huh.
always assume simply supported or not.
I think so. The way you are saying, I think so. But I won't commit before I actually look into this method. Okay. I don't know about this right now.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Next class I will be asked on or email ID. I will be
Okay.
sent
Okay. Okay.
some question. Okay,
Send me the question. Yes. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am.
Okay. I'll end the class then if there are no other questions. Thank you. Bye.